Hello! Where to start with She-Hulk Attorney at Law Episode 3? No one said the name of the show this episode. Boo! I suppose a quick non-spoiler review? The episode has a few moments in it that made me like it, and a moment where I actually empathized with Jennifer. I know! Shocker! We actually got some lawyering done too, yay! Which allowed us to see some more of Tim Roth, and a bit of Wong too. Unfortunately, we saw the return of... Yep, the walking sexism soundboard, Mr. Misogyny, is back. I know the show gave him a name, but that's his name now. The show is a little longer than the last time, not a lot, but it didn't feel as short, that's for sure. We get the Blonsky hearing concluded, and we see what might be a through line for the rest of the series. Ooh. That's all I can say without spoiling, but what I will say is, for every good point, there's a bad one. And after my second viewing, I noticed some very bad points. So if you're ready, let's go into the details of Episode 3 of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, The People vs. Emil Blonsky. Let's do an overview of the episode before picking at specific details. The episode starts with Jennifer confronting Blonsky about his escape into a film very few people saw, and Blonsky points the finger at Wong. Jennifer's friend looks Wong up on social media, and you have to love the fact that the Sorcerer Supreme, defender of reality, used to work at Target. Also, Bruce Banner is a mutual friend? Why does Jennifer's assistant have Bruce as a friend on, what is this, LinkedIn? Anyway, considering the message the She-Hulk series has been trying to send about the way people think about women in society, this next line is not very helpful.
Can you get to him?
Yes, Jen, it's me. Of course I can get to him.
I sent a thirst trap. It was a picture of me with a bunch of books.
I have not heard the phrase thirst trap before. Now I have. Thanks, She-Hulk. Jennifer denies, then confirms this is going to be a cameo show, then says...
Just remember whose show this actually is.
After the first episode, I don't think anyone is going to forget that. We then get news reports talking about Jennifer Walters defending Emil Blonsky and her being She-Hulk, with some choice social media posts thrown in for good measure. More on that in a bit. Jennifer's friend tells her she needs to control the narrative as Jennifer tries to ignore the attention she's getting. This is the sort of thing I expected to see. Jennifer having to deal with the issues caused by her She-Hulkness in her daily life. Episode 2 criticised her hiring at her new job because of her being She-Hulk, treating it like she was hired for her looks or as a token green, kind of like Frinny on EFAP. Seeing more aspects of her life being explored is good. It shows the writing is actually considering the effects such a condition would have on someone's life. Unfortunately, we then get Mr. Misogyny back. I thought we were done with him! She-Hulk is asked to defend Mr. Misogyny, but he refuses, asking Paul to do it instead, because man. But of course we can't go a scene without him being an arse, so we get this random pop-in for him to misogynize all over.
No, I can't talk to a 10 about embarrassing man stuff. She could be my next fiancé.
Thank Yogg-Sothoth, Wong appears and... Wait, Wong appears? How did he know to come here? As in, specifically this room in a multi-story building. How? I don't know why I'm bothering. At this point, sling ring portals in the MCU are completely buggered. Once upon a time, they had rules and restrictions, but now they're just plot conveniences that can get anyone anywhere. Unless they can't, for reasons. I'm going to split up the episode here and follow each trial separately. Yeah, I know, trials plural, in a lawyer show. Crazy, right? Mr. Misogyny was scammed out of thousands by a shape-shifting Asgardian elf pretending to be a horse or something.
Well, to be fair, I thought I was dating Megan Thee Stallion.
Blimey, Loki ain't the only one with an equestrian fetish. Thrice the elf tries to unsuccessfully pretend to be people in the episode, which for some reason people initially believe, despite them knowing a shape-shifting elf is involved and the people being portrayed are acting completely out of character. I thought lawyers were smart. In the hearing, the elf tries to pull diplomatic immunity. And what does she say when told she isn't in New Asgard?
Asgard is not a place, it is a people.
Thor's inspirational speeches are not admissible in court.
1. How on earth do they know about that speech? Is this something that gets repeated a lot? Is it the town slogan? And 2. Stop shitting on what came before. Episode 1 belittles Bruce Banner and his condition because apparently Disney is ableist. You got one more swing on that, by the way, mouse. And then we see this episode taking the piss out of something that was so meaningful to a, let's face it, endangered species. Making fun of it does not make shitting on it okay. At any rate, a trial is called for, and the whole thing hinges on whether Mr. Misogyny can be proven a big enough idiot that he genuinely thought he was going out with a horse. After bumping into Jennifer in the pub, Paul the lawyer asks Jennifer to be a character witness where she shits all over Mr. Misogyny. This is a good example of shitting all over something, an example I'm going to come back to in reference to something else. It allows Jennifer to point out how terrible a person Mr. Misogyny is, whilst also doing the right thing and seeing the right person gets punished. Well done, show, you did a good. So that's that trial done. Let's go back to Blonsky's. Wong tells Jennifer that Blonsky is telling the truth, that Wong did in fact kidnap the abomination, and he did return of his own accord. Jennifer informs Wong more will be required of him than this one statement, and Wong begins to utter complete nonsense at her. He mentions the memory altering spell, the mirror dimension, and the shadow realm, none of which Jennifer is aware of. I'm guessing this was supposed to be funny, but it's bloody awful to listen to. It's like someone who has never seen an MCU film was given some words to use and they just shoehorned them in without a care. For those that don't know, a shoehorn is a device that can be used to help get feet in and out of tight shoes. Anyway, over at the prison, Jennifer has to walk past the press who are waiting outside. This happens a few times, each with one reporter or another asking random questions. These get weirder as the episode continues, peaking with a post on social media.
She-Hulk, can we get a word? How do you plan to take Blonsky down when he rampages again?
Is it true you were rejected by the Avengers?
Care to respond to claims that you're one of Blonsky's rumored soulmates?
Is there any truth to the rumors you got your powers from a mafia hit gone wrong?
Oh my God, you're pregnant with the Abomination's baby, and you're flaunting a little baby
That's who the father is?
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is meant to show how terrible the press are and how fake news is everywhere? In the prison, we get to see Blonsky's parole hearing, as well as the 7 soulmates who want to live with him on their own private piece of land. For once, I empathise with Jennifer.
He plans to open a meditation retreat, which is very,
Well done, show. We get Blonsky telling the parole board how much of a changed man he is, which is good because it's Tim Roth being Tim Roth, and Tim Roth is Tim Roth.
If I could, may I clarify?
No.
Blair, Ruth, Marta, Sheila, Alejandra, Yvonne, and Nicolette are my soulmates. Love you.
And we get testimonies from this lot, which gave me a chuckle. Well done, show, you're doing good. Unfortunately, it's let down by Wong, and I don't just mean the parole hearing in the story. Wong is late for the parole hearing, so Jennifer has to stall, but that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Wong has a phone, he must do if he's making social media posts, and or lives in the modern world. Hell, we saw him with an iPod or something in Doctor Strange. If so, then why can't Jennifer phone, text, or message the half-wit so he can portal immediately to the prison? Ignoring this stupidity, he eventually gets to the hearing and delivers his testimony.
Have you ever heard of a kumite?
This is apparently a full contact martial arts sport, which Wong needed to take part in.
As part of my training to become Sorcerer Supreme, I extracted him from the prison against his own wishes because I required a worthy opponent.
Okay, so not Bruce, or Thor, or literally any legitimate, friendly, and currently not in prison superpowered person? Bloody hell, Wong, you moron. More Wong, am I right? Anyway, Wong gives his testimony and Blonsky demonstrates his ability to control his abomination form, which scares the shit out of everyone in the room, except the soulmates who seem very... Oh no. Moving on. The parole board inform Wong that he just admitted to a crime, so Wong runs away? Is he... what? What is it with magicians and running away from justice in the MCU? The hearing breaks up for deliberations and Jennifer goes to the bar where she tells her friend assistant,
and then I get to my car and some protester has written on it, "Monster defending a monster."
"Thank you, show, you're doing better. More of this, please." We then get the elf trial bit, after which Mr. Misogyny suggests taking the elf's powers away, which gives Jennifer an idea. Straight away I thought she was thinking about removing her own powers, but it turns out to be in reference to Blonsky, who has to have an inhibitor as part of his release. Wait, what? They have an inhibitor for Abomination? Why is he not wearing one all the time? Why does he have the option to transform in his cell if everyone shits themselves when he does? Damn it, show, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So yeah, Blonsky gets his release, and then he gives some advice to Jennifer.
I don't want to read any more stories about either of us.
They're going to write a story about you one way or the other, you know. Better to be part of it, really.
Throughout this episode, Jennifer's friend has told Jennifer over and over again that she needs to make a public statement, say something to all the people who want to know about her. Jennifer ignored all these suggestions, but then listens to Blonsky when he tells her she needs to do it. As much as it's weird that Jennifer listens to Blonsky rather than her best friend, 2 completely different people advising her to do the same thing does have the effect of a wake-up call. Jennifer appears on a TV program to talk about herself, and we get some self-aware cringe.
When we come back, She-Hulk shares her diet and exercise secrets.
I'm sorry, what?
Reminds me of The One Show or Good Morning Britain or something. This seems deliberate on the show's part, so once again, well done. And then we get to the fight at the end of the episode, and oh dear, are we going to be here a while. I have one positive thing to say, and that is there appears to be something going on here, an attempt at getting a DNA sample for someone, beyond these mugs anyway. Something is going on here, and hopefully the show has something good in mind. That's it for the positives. Let's get to the negatives. For starters, and on a personal note, why does a successful and supposedly highly paid lawyer live somewhere with such poor parking? She has to walk for long enough that she's well away from her car and her front door, and from neighbours who might want to know what is going on outside. I earn naff all and my place has better parking than this. Anyway, ignoring that, this guy says,
"If you're gonna strut around showing off your powers, you better be able to back it up."
Considering it looks like they're trying to get a DNA sample off her, I don't understand what this idiot is doing, or any of them for that matter. Why was only one of them close enough to grab her? Why weren't they all close enough to bundle her? And why are they taunting her? She's a Hulk. Taunting her is only going to make her more annoyed and potentially make her stronger, you numpty. This is a very odd way of trying to sneak attack someone, it must be said. Anyway, She-Hulk correctly guesses,
Did you guys rob an Asgardian construction worker?
Yeah.
This justifies my village people comment on my other video because that is actually a workman's hard hat. Go me. This also brings up a whole host of questions like, do Asgardians go around the world using their advanced technology for everyday stuff? Doesn't that cause a whole host of issues? If not, did these guys go to New Asgard, nick this stuff, then come back to carry out their mission? Surely there'd be tighter security around New Asgard for that kind of stuff. Asgardian tools being stolen by actual tools is a world building issue which, traditionally, is a weak point of the MCU. What I'm going to talk about now is not. This fight is another editing mess. Not as bad as the courtroom fight, I'm pretty sure that set records for awful, but there's shots here and there where I'm getting lost. On top of that, the choreography is pretty sad. The attackers don't do much beyond whomping on She-Hulk, and she just stands there for most of it getting hit and no selling harder than Hulk Hogan at his peak. Speaking of wrestling, as a former avid watcher of the Graps, I know all too well when someone gets dropped on their head, it's an oof moment, because I'm well aware wrestlers get paralysed or die from such landings. So when I saw this, the guy who was knocked flying into a wall so hard he turned upside down should have a smashed skull and or broken neck. The guy who was thrown into the air, high enough to gain a couple of seconds of hand time before landing on the back of his head, should have a broken neck, back, and should be dead. This guy, who I think is the one who gets thrown, takes a punch to the face from She-Hulk that sounds like a small explosion. In which case, She-Hulk should be thrown a corpse. All of this is quite the missed opportunity. Before this, Jennifer has only had 2 fights as She-Hulk, one with Bruce and one with Titania. This fight is with multiple opponents with weapons, but none of them can hurt her and none of them are superpowered themselves. Punching, slamming, and throwing normal people around as a Hulk should be dangerous as all blimey heck. Jennifer should be startled by how badly she's thrashing these guys and should have a few concerns about their health afterwards. Imagine the whole fight with her being shocked at what she's doing to them. Whoa, that was harder than I thought. Cheeky ooh, whoops. Oh, okay, that was a bit much. Are you okay? As it is, we don't get anything from her. No quips, insults, nothing. Just silently taking hits and throwing people like a soulless android. She doesn't even go after them when they run away. Chase them, you idiot! Get their number plate, call for help, anything! Instead, we have this moment where she looks at her reflection in the car window before the credits roll. In a scene that could have had a lot of character moments, this is all we got, and it's highly ambiguous what was meant by it. But this is far from the largest wasted potential in the episode. Hello again. So I had another thought about this scene. The strutting around comment from that one bloke initially seemed very stupid to put in, considering what these guys are trying to do. But then I remembered what half this series has been about, and it got me wondering, is this meant to be a comment on how men often use women's clothes as an excuse for rape? In the real world, you often hear comments about how women were asking for it because of the way they dress. Keeping that in mind, the strutting around and showing off your powers line makes more sense. I mean, more sense in understanding why it's in here, not more sense logically or in the story. This is especially pertinent considering how this scene starts with Jennifer being grabbed from behind by a strange man whilst walking down a dark alleyway, which in turn explains why she has such terrible parking at her place. It needs to be this way for this scene to happen. Themes and writing goals over all else, leading to terrible events and storylines. Wow, what a shocker, never seen that before in recent media. This is why the fighting is terrible, because there's very little thought given to it, and why there's so many missed opportunities for character growth and whatnot. All because the writing is focused on making a rape scene allegory. I will stress this is all speculation on my part, but I think I made a good point. Let me know if you think differently. Like I said though, this isn't the worst of it. Now to seamlessly work this back into the original video.
took the Hulk's manhood away, but then they gave it to a woman?
I have no problem with female heroes. I'm just saying, make your own. I don't know about y'all, but I'd smash.
So we have a Me Too movement, and now all the male heroes.
There's a lot going on here, so let's go through them one by one. They took the Hulk's manhood away and then gave it to a woman? It's nice of them to reference No Bullshits videos. No more female superhero, please. Why are you turning every superhero into a girl? I don't get it. Why are you turning every superhero into a girl? Did they run out of ideas for comments or something? Why everything gotta be female now? Someone find a reason to cancel She-Hulk. So we have a Me Too movement, and now all the male superheroes are gone? Make your own. Jolly Green Giant. I'd smash that. I like her, but lemurs. Is it weird I like her green? I might make tacos tonight. Good for you, good call. She-Hulk isn't real. Hulk was the awesome. Actually, totally agree on that last one. By the time I get this video edited and uploaded, I imagine this is going to be the next infinitely better issue. These clips are short, but bloody hell are they packed. If the sexism messaging wasn't obvious before, it is now. Worse, there are subtle ones mixed in, like the Hulk's manhood audio being muddled, but you can see it with the captions, and the text messages flying past. None of this is endearing, but it has additional issues people will probably overlook because, well, this is what it is. How are all these being presented? As stuff Jennifer's friend is looking up on her tablet.
Have you seen this insanity?
Why are you looking this shit up, you horrible friend? Beyond the mere fact of their inclusion in the episode, beyond their choice of presentation, this is yet again another missed opportunity that the episode itself presents. Mr. Misogyny has no business being in the episode, or indeed the rest of the series, and yet here he is. Why not have him be the source of all these negative and sexist comments? Why not have him in the show permanently, and have him be the one to look this stuff up and blurt it out at Jennifer? It would suit his character, as horrible as it is, and it would be far less in your face than flashing it full screen. Then, maybe, if the writers were up for the challenge, they could give this guy an arc where he learned to become less of an arse and less of a sexist. The courtroom scene where Jennifer spells out his terrible character could be the start of some self-reflection. And maybe have him be saved by She-Hulk at some point, giving him more of an appreciation of her. It's so simple, even I can think of it. Wait, hold on. That's not put me in a good light. So that's She-Hulk episode 3. It did good. It did bad. It did very bad. It also missed some very good opportunities to do something with the characters they have, but there seems to be a lack of awareness or talent or something in that regard. An actual hint of a through-line story arc has me interested, but it'll need to be good to overshadow some of the bad elements that keep showing up. At the very least, it's going to give me something to talk about. In the meantime, feel free to do all the YouTube stuff, especially subscribe if you haven't already. Links to my Patreon and my Etsy store are in the description. Last but not least, thank you for watching.